All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a question that's been on everyone's minds lately.
hmm
Will AI control the world?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that AI is everywhere these days. It's in our phones, our cars, our homes. It's even starting to make its way into our bodies.
I know, right? It's both exciting and a little bit terrifying. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge, but we're not quite sure what it all means.
That's exactly why we're here today. We're going to take a deep dive into the world of AI, exploit its capabilities, its potential, and of course, its risks.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is AI and how does it work?
Well, AI stands for artificial intelligence, and in simple terms, it's the ability of a computer or machine to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence.
Like thinking and learning and problem solving.
Exactly. AI systems are designed to mimic human cognitive abilities such as learning, reasoning, and decision making.
Okay, so it's not just about robots doing our chores. It's about creating machines that can actually think for themselves.
Well, sort of AI systems don't think in the same way that humans do. They rely on algorithms and data to make decisions and solve problems.
So data is key here, right?
Absolutely. AI systems are trained on massive amounts of data, which they use to learn patterns, identify trends, and make predictions.
So the more data you feed an AI system, the smarter it gets.
In a way, yes. The quality and diversity of the data are also crucial factors, but generally speaking, more data leads to better performance.
Okay, so we've got the basics down, but what can AI actually do? What are some real-world examples of how it's being used today?
Well, AI is already being used in a wide range of industries, from healthcare and finance to transportation and entertainment.
For example,
For example, in healthcare, AI is being used to develop new drugs, diagnose diseases, and personalize treatment plans.
wow, that's amazing. So AI is already helping to save lives.
It is, and its potential in this field is truly enormous. In finance, AI is being used to detect fraud, prevent money laundering, and make investment recommendations.
So it's not just about making our lives easier, it's also about making our world safer and more efficient.
Exactly. AI has the potential to revolutionize countless aspects of our lives, but it also raises some important questions about its impact on society.
Like what?
Like, what will happen to jobs as AI becomes more sophisticated? Will AI exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones? And perhaps most importantly, how do we ensure that AI is used for good and not for harm?
These are all big questions, and I'm glad we're going to be exploring them in more depth throughout this deep dive.
Me too. It's crucial that we have these conversations now as AI continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace.
So we've covered the basics of what AI is, how it works, and some of its potential applications. But now I want to get into the really juicy stuff, the potential risks and ethical dilemmas that AI poses.
Sounds good to me. Let's dive
All
in.
right, let's talk about jobs first.
Right.
One of the biggest fears surrounding AI is that it's going to automate millions of jobs, leaving countless people unemployed.
It's a valid concern, and it's something we need to take seriously. As AI becomes more capable, it's inevitable that some jobs will become automated.
Especially those that involve repetitive or manual tasks, right?
Exactly. Think about factory workers, truck drivers, data entry clerks. These are all jobs that could potentially be done by machines in the not too distant future.
But isn't it possible that AI will also create new jobs?
It's definitely possible. Some experts argue that AI will create more jobs than it destroys, but these new jobs will likely require different skills and training.
So we need to start thinking now about how we can prepare the workforce for the age of AI.
Absolutely. We need to invest in education and training programs that equip people with the skills they need to succeed in a world where AI is increasingly prevalent.
Okay, so job displacement is a real concern, but it's not necessarily a doomsday scenario if we take the right steps to mitigate it.
Right. It's about adapting to the changing landscape and embracing the opportunities that AI presents.
Okay, let's move on to another big concern. Bias in AI. You hear about this a lot. How can we be sure that AI systems aren't perpetuating existing biases or even creating new ones?
This is a critical issue, and it stems from the fact that AI systems are trained on data. And if that data reflects existing biases in our society, those biases can be amplified by the AI.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, imagine an AI system that's used to screen job applicants. If the data it's trained on contains historical biases against certain groups, like women or people of color, the system might unfairly reject qualified candidates from those groups.
So it's not just about the algorithms themselves, it's about the data that's used to train them.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to ensure that the data used to train AI systems is diverse, representative, and free from bias.
And this is something that developers and researchers are actively working on, right?
Yes, there's a growing awareness of the importance of ethical AI, and there are ongoing efforts to develop techniques and tools to mitigate bias in AI systems.
So it's not a hopeless situation. There are ways to address these concerns.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the potential pitfalls and taking proactive steps to prevent them.
All right, let's talk about another scary possibility. Super intelligent AI. The idea that AI could eventually surpass human intelligence and become uncontrollable.
This is definitely one of the most hotly debated topics in the field of AI, and there's no easy answer.
Some people think it's just a matter of time before machines become smarter than us, while others believe it's a far-fetched scenario.
It's true, there's a lot of uncertainty about the future of AI, and it's difficult to predict how it will evolve.
But even if super intelligent AI is a long way off, shouldn't we be thinking about it now?
Absolutely. It's important to have these conversations and to consider the potential risks and benefits of advanced AI.
So what can we do to prepare for a future where AI might be more intelligent than us?
Well, one important step is to ensure that AI systems are aligned with human values and goals. We need to develop AI that's beneficial to humanity, not harmful.
And how do we do that?
It's a complex challenge, but it involves things like incorporating ethical principles into the design of AI systems, establishing clear guidelines for AI development, and fostering a culture of responsibility among AI researchers and developers.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people who are creating and using it.
Exactly. We need to approach AI with caution and foresight, but also with a sense of optimism and a belief that we can harness its power for good.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've talked about the basics of AI, its potential applications, and some of the risks and ethical dilemmas it poses. But there's still so much more to explore.
Absolutely. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into some real-world examples of how AI is being used in different areas and examine the implications, both positive and
I
negative.
can't wait. Stay tuned. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. We know AI is powerful, it's evolving rapidly, and it has the potential to change pretty much everything.
Now let's dive into some specifics. We're going to look at real-world examples of how AI is being used in different areas and unpack the implications, both good and bad.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about AI in healthcare. I've heard so much about how it's going to revolutionize medicine.
It definitely has that potential.
Yeah.
Think about it. AI can analyze massive amounts of medical data, identify patterns that humans might miss, and help doctors make more accurate diagnoses. Imagine a world where AI can detect cancer in its earliest stages, personalize treatment plans based on your unique genetic makeup, and even predict potential health issues before they arise.
That sounds incredible. But I also remember all that talk about potential bias in AI. How do we make sure these systems aren't making unfair decisions about people's health?
That's a critical point, and it's something that researchers and developers are working hard to address. Remember, AI systems are trained on data, and if that data reflects existing biases in our healthcare system, those biases can be amplified by the AI.
So it's not as simple as just throwing AI at the problem and expecting it to fix everything.
Exactly. We need to be mindful of the data we're using to train these systems, constantly monitor for bias, and ensure that human oversight is always in place.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about something that's been in the news a lot lately. Autonomous vehicles, self-driving cars, trucks, the whole 9 yards. Where are we at with that?
Autonomous vehicles are one of the most visible examples of AI in action. We're already seeing self-driving cars on the roads in some cities, and the technology is advancing rapidly. The potential benefits are huge: increased safety, reduced traffic congestion, and greater accessibility for people who can't drive themselves.
But I also remember all those ethical dilemmas we talked about in the first part. Like, what happens if a self-driving car has to make a split-second decision in a dangerous situation?
You're hitting on one of the thorniest issues with autonomous vehicles: the need for clear ethical guidelines. How do we program a machine to make life or death decisions? What moral principles should guide those decisions? These are questions that philosophers, engineers, and policymakers are grappling with right now.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about AI in the military? That always feels like a bit of a Pandora's box.
It is, and it's an area where we're seeing significant advancements. AI is being integrated into military systems for surveillance, reconnaissance, and even weapons development. This raises some serious concerns about the potential for unintended consequences and the erosion of human control over warfare.
Yeah, that's what always worries me. The idea of machines making decisions about who lives and who dies is pretty terrifying.
It's a valid concern, and it's fueling a global debate about the ethics of autonomous weapons. Many experts argue that we need to establish international treaties to ban or regulate these weapons before they become widely deployed.
Okay, so we've got AI potentially revolutionizing healthcare, transforming transportation, and changing the face of warfare. It feels like we're on the cusp of some pretty massive shifts.
We are, and it's important to remember that AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. The choices we make now will determine how this technology shapes our future.
So what can we do? How do we ensure that AI is used for good?
That's the question we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. We'll delve into the ethical frameworks and guidelines that are being developed to guide responsible AI development and discuss the steps we can take as individuals and as a society to steer this technology in the right direction.
All right, so we've talked about how AI is already changing things like healthcare and transportation, but I want to know what's next. Where is this all heading?
Well, the future of AI is incredibly exciting. We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, one area where we're going to see huge advancements is in robotics.
Robots, like the ones in those sci-fi movies.
Kind of, but even more advanced. We're talking about robots that can learn, adapt, and interact with the world in ways that were once thought impossible.
So not just robots doing repetitive tasks in factories, but robots that can actually think for themselves and solve problems.
Exactly. Imagine robots that can assist surgeons in the operating room, explore dangerous environments, or even provide companionship for the elderly.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But what about the ethical implications of all this? I mean, if robots become that intelligent, won't they pose a threat to humanity?
It's a valid concern, and it's something that we need to address as AI continues to evolve. We need to ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly with a focus on human safety and well-being.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the values and principles that guide its development.
Precisely. We need to be thinking about the long-term consequences of AI and making sure that it's used to enhance human life, not replace it.
That makes sense.
Oh.
Okay, so we've talked about robotics. What else is on the horizon for AI?
Another area where AI is poised to make a huge impact is in personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine. What does that mean?
It means using AI to tailor medical treatments to each individual patient's needs.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to healthcare, we'll have treatments that are specifically designed for our unique genetic makeup and lifestyle.
Exactly. AI can analyze vast amounts of data about our genes, our environment, and our behavior to develop personalized treatment plans that are more effective and have fewer side effects.
That's incredible. So AI could potentially revolutionize healthcare as we know it.
It definitely has the potential, and it's already starting to happen. We're seeing AI-powered diagnostic tools, drug discovery platforms, and even virtual assistants that can help patients manage their health.
Wow, this is all really exciting, but I also can't help but feel a little bit overwhelmed. It seems like AI is moving so fast that it's hard to keep up.
I understand. It's a lot to take in, but I think it's important to remember that AI is ultimately a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
So it's up to us to make sure that AI is used in a way that benefits humanity.
Exactly. We need to be having these conversations now about the ethical implications of AI and working to ensure that it's developed and used in a responsible and equitable way.
That's a great point, and I think it's a fitting note to end on AI as a powerful force that has the potential to transform our world for the better. But it's up to us to guide its development and make sure that it's used for good. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been my pleasure. I hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.